Despite ongoing calls from Ukraine and now from allies, the U.S. has said no to fighter jets for now. I asked the U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Julianne Smith, about that decision and the state of unity within the alliance. Ambassador Smith, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
The defense minister, Ukraine's defense minister, has continued, as you know, his appeal for fighter jets. I know the president, your president, has not been super keen on this idea so far. What is, from your understanding, first of all, the need for fighter jets? Why is Ukraine saying that they need them? And is it something that the United States would consider at some point?
Well, I think President Biden has been clear on our position. He stated that the U.S. currently does not have a plan to send any fighter aircraft to Ukraine. I think what happens when the United States is considering any particular asset that it is going to donate, it finds itself asking a couple of key questions. First and foremost, is this something that the Ukrainians desire? And we're in constant contact with Ukrainian commanders to understand what their current military requirements are. Secondly, do we have this particular asset available, and can we get it quickly in the hands of the Ukrainian forces so that it'll make a difference on the battlefield? And the last couple of questions are some of the most important, and those are tied to questions of maintenance and sustainment, but also training. Yeah. The Ukrainian forces have been just remarkable in their ability to absorb new capabilities, sometimes capabilities that they've never operated before in their lives. And we've been incredibly impressed by that. But there are some capabilities that are coming into Ukraine that do require considerable amounts of training. And there I would cite the tanks, I would mention armored vehicles, and I would mention some air defense systems which have been foreign to them. For example, the Patriots. That's a system that they haven't been familiar with, and so significant amount of training is required. So those questions are the questions that we put on the table anytime we're faced with a decision on military capabilities. And we'll continue to be in close contact with Kyiv to better understand what they are seeking and what we can help them with.
Oh, okay, that helps me understand a lot better. Is there also, though, a question about escalation when you make those considerations about what Ukraine wants and needs? And I mean how that might be viewed as escalation by Russia, obviously.
Well, we've been worried about escalation as far back to the day that this war started. And obviously, we've been monitoring, for example, Russia's nuclear saber rattling, and we've warned them about the potential risks, catastrophic risks, should they turn to their nuclear arsenal. So escalation is something that NATO allies are thinking about, certainly on the minds of any country that's providing security assistance. But the most important point here is that one country could stop this war today, and that's Russia. President Putin started the war. He could stop it as soon as possible if he so desired. So in terms of escalation, we think about that. We think about the fact that Russia is the one that started this war. It's escalated it. It's turned to indiscriminate attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure. And we hope that this war will soon come to an end.
Well, I want to ask you about how that might happen, but a couple questions about your role as the ambassador for NATO. I've spoken to Finland and Sweden's foreign minister about their bid to get into NATO. I know the Secretary General was in Turkey this week trying to convince them to speed that process along. What is your estimation of the timeline and why that might be important for it to happen sooner rather than later?
You're right. There are two countries that have yet to ratify. We have Hungary that claims that the process will officially begin in Hungary later this month. So we'll be eager to see that. And then, as you know, Turkey has expressed some concerns, and Finland and Sweden and Turkey have been meeting regularly to try and address those concerns. We believe Finland and Sweden are now ready to join. We'd like to see it happen by the Vilnius summit this summer, and we will continue to work as allies here at NATO to try and get that done by later this July.
One of the things that Germany's defense minister mentioned this week was around this 2% target that NATO countries are asked to attain or aspire to, at least. He said that he doesn't believe that this will be enough. Canada is still spending below its 2%, as you know, and I wonder whether you're of the same mind as Germany, that this number should be higher, or that countries should be more deeply committed to attaining the target to begin with.
We believe that 2% should be a floor, not a ceiling, and we would like allies to commit to meeting the 2% target, not just try to aim to meet that target, but really to commit to do it. And we're hopeful that Canada will take the necessary steps to increase its defense spending. It has already increased its national defense spending, but you are right to note that it has not yet met the target of 2%.
Just to go back to the war in Ukraine, obviously we're coming up on the one-year mark. It has gone on longer than many people expected, certainly probably longer than Russia anticipated. What do you think will be the end game here, and how quickly do you think we will get to an end in this conflict?
Well, I get asked that question quite a bit,
yes.
and I wish I had certainty in predicting when the war will come to an end. Right now, what we want to do is try to get as much assistance into the hands of the Ukrainian military forces, and there I have to say Canada has just done a remarkable job in supporting the Ukrainian people, Ukrainian refugees, and also the Ukrainian military forces as they defend their territorial integrity. But ultimately, where this will have to end is in some sort of negotiated settlement. And we don't see any evidence right now that Russia's ready and willing to come to the table. We hope eventually we will be able to see a moment when Ukrainians and Russians will come to the table and try to negotiate an end to this. But right now, we're very much focused on this spring offensive and trying to get the security assistance that's necessary to help them succeed on the battlefield.
I'll just end on this, Ambassador. Has the sort of the amazing united front that the alliance has put forward in the face of Russia surprised you at all? Do you think that it has sort of reinforced how important NATO is to the world?
Well, I don't think, personally, it hasn't surprised me that much. I see strength in this alliance, and I've been pleased to see the alliance come together over the last year and showcase tremendous amount of resolve in standing with Ukraine. I think the person that has been surprised by all of this is really President Putin. He often calculates that he can wait us out, that after a few months, countries will look away, that they'll be distracted, that they'll be interested in another corner of the world or another crisis. But in fact, none of that has come to pass. The unity here at NATO is strong. I'm proud of that, proud to see the allies come together in this moment. And I'm, again, very grateful for the leadership that Canada has provided on this front. But I hope that it gives President Putin pause and helps him change his strategic calculus as he thinks about how long Russia can endure and tolerate this war that they are pursuing inside Ukraine.
Ambassador Smith, what a pleasure to speak with you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.